I'd rather die than someone rob me and I don't do nothing about it. I'd rather end my life. People think because you're respectful and you're polite, people think it's a weakness. It's not a weakness. You can smash me all day long, and that's another thing. In a plastic bag and threw it in the river. What do you want me to do? I can't go and tell mum and dad, don't kill me. Some people ride to fly and some people ride to die. See me? I ride to die.
Hi guys, welcome back to KRM TV. We're bringing the most exciting interviews from around the world. Today, delighted to be back with London's craziest gangster, Mr.Fish, for part 2.
Welcome, how are you? Live?
Very well, thank you, Mr. Fish. How's things?
Well, still black, still gay, still deaf, but hey, when you've got everything, you can't complain, you know?
Indeed.
How are you?
Very well. So people obviously loved part 1, talking about how you became the sort of man you are, and how you sort of got into crime or the criminal world unintentionally as such, obviously. And so this time I want to talk about sort of once you got into the criminal world, and that talk to me a little bit about your life and what that may have involved as such, obviously without incriminating yourself, doing anything like that.
Yeah, okay. So as I said, we've got a security company, and the security company was called Final Touch, and as I said, it was always the final touch if it went there. And as I also said to you in the earlier podcast, a young man brought back a gun, and so it was from that day off onwards, we were always told at the club we had no choice, we had to defend ourselves. And so the club, it turned out to be one of the biggest clubs in England, because the club was started when Sunrise, Back to the Future and Energy, when the government had clamped down on the fields and that. So we were the first major club to take it indoors, hardcore, jungle and the rest of it. One thing I hated about the club scene was I hated a lot of the MCs and the dark side, especially when it came to jumble, because a lot of the MCs would portray, talk about violence, guns and drugs, and the people being out there nuts would start, imitating that style. And so it made it very hard for security. And I'll never forget, when he was going through the door, one of the things I always used to say to people was, listen, if you get Versace mixed up with karate, go that way. If you get Machino mixed up with Al Pacino, go that way. And if you want to fight the Taliban, go that way. But if you want to rave, go that way in the door. And so, it was just a way of like saying to people, if you're going to come and enjoy yourself, don't come for the trouble. And so we had various incidences there. People having bad trips and on skibby-dibby whips. And we had people running out the club naked, jumping across the road. And so it was, for me, doing doors was an opener, like you asked. It was kind of where I sort of got into. I've gone to criminality before, but the doors made you better known. Does that make sense to you? What was I going to say?
But how did so obviously you end up getting into armed robberies and stuff like this, so it's gone from running doors into a little bit of gun enforcement sort of work, people causing problems. How did it go from this to this?
Okay.
At certain points.
Okay. I think we need
you got to right to the height of the criminal world as such.
I think we need to go back. We remember ourselves fighting my homosexuality, so I tried to die or do 100 years in prison. So what happened was crash. What I'd done, because I knew what it was like being in pain, I took on everybody else's pain. And as I said earlier, not everybody could go to the police and get the police to sort out their problems. And not everyone has 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 to get someone to try and deal with those problems. And so my friends became my family, and when you're like the mum or the dad, if someone's troubling your babies or your friends, you have to step in and do what you had to do. And so that's how we kind of got involved into criminality. So, but we were good soldiers, you understand. And then, as I said to you, because I tried to do 100 years, we did everything. And doing everything meant that you know, we got involved in all different kinds of crime because we got taught by the old school, the villainry. And that's why I say when people talk about gangsters, I don't really call it gangsters. I know it as villains, okay? And the villains we got taught, and then because we got taught, we got into the game. But for me, I always read the police. I read about the police. I read about the Secret Service. I read about how they evolved, how they worked, how they did their job and went about their jobs. Because, as I said to you, because it was born out of pain, it was never about money for me. And in the end, pain became my friend. And so I loved taking on the CSI. I loved taking on the thing. I just loved. In a way, it's quite mad. But I always thought I was taking on the system. Does that make sense to you? It wasn't about me making money and being flash and getting nice things. I mean, we had 200 grand and I'd give it all away. And then next week after, I'd be asking you for 20 quid. It was never about money for me because it was always, for me, money was never an object because we went out and did what we had to do, duck and dive. So no matter what it was, we went out and got it. Do you know what I mean? But also, for me, my friends. When people say, I can count my friends on one hand. I need 10,000 sets of hands. I love my friends, and my friends love me, and so they look after me. And so everything really from me, I don't buy nothing. My friends just give me everything. I don't. I don't go out and look. My friends do,
Fish at watch,
and that's bang bang road. And my friend done everything for me. And so for me, I mean, sometimes criminality wasn't always, if my pals in trouble, they're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? But then, yeah, we did get involved in the thing, and we had trades. I hate saying the word henchman, but most people would always, bring me as to be the controller, to be the control the situation that we're in. But I loved using creativity. I won't do anything unless it's done properly and you thought about it, and you thought about the cameras, and you thought about how technology works today, and how you're going to get the boys home. So for me, most people who did work with me, and I was always the leader, always knew that my first real responsibility was to get them home to their wife and kids. And so I had a great trade. My second year, the thing was, I'd got nicked and had a grass, and so everyone knew I weren't a grass. Everybody knew that if I got
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so if I knew I got nicked, I would never ever grass, and that was the trademark. So everyone always knew when they worked with me, they were safe. So when I got nicked for the Great Tranny robbery, okay, there were 7 of us involved, and as I said, people always laugh because it was the Great Tranny robbery. But when you think about what I had 2 cars with white fellas to take away the 2 black fellas, me being one of them and another one, take them away. So, and when they took them away, because of the cameras and all that now, we used to lay down on the back seat and they put cardboard boxes on us. So when the police came in their SUVs and all the rest of it, when they're looking for teams, there's no teams. And if they're looking for black geezers, they're not seeing them. And then we had a bike to go, 2 guys waiting in the van to put the bike in. And then that was so that when the helicopter came up, the bike had disappeared. And so we had it all done properly, and we could do it. Then the getaway driving the bike, something went wrong, so I had to make a damage limitation decision and run towards the police, knowing that it would keep them safe. And so everyone in that regard, in the game, knew, that I was safe to work with. They always knew I wouldn't grass. And it was the same with when I got met with the police gun you know, they put a policeman in and the rest of it, and they tried to get me to brass up the boys, but I wouldn't do it. You know, so people love working with me, and also you have to have that leadership, that sense of leadership. You have to have that command system and not operate the same way as the police or the services or the army. You have to have that decorum, and you've got to be able to direct your troops and know that your troops have 100% faith in you. That is bang on. But another thing was for me, I hated using people who have got wives and kids. I would never do that, because I always think that if you're going to do a 15 or 25 or 30, and I always say if you're going to play with guns and knives, then that's what you have to expect to do. And so I always try and use, you know, young gentlemen who maybe, and I like to use gentlemen who are maybe not as well off as maybe the villains are, I guess. And so I like to put money in their pocket. We do what we've got to do, but I always say to them, don't be like me and waste it up the nose and shit like that. Buy your family things and, you know, use the money wisely, you know. But for me, because my word was always love nothing, buy nothing, have nothing. I just lived on, spent the money, everything just given to me. It wasn't an issue. Do you understand? So the game for me, and it is a game. You know, it's called Cops and Robbers, and for me, it was just fun. It was always just taking on the system, and we never did burglaries or, you know, we never robbed innocent people or drug dealers. I mean, you know, people do that nowadays, and that's sort of a rage. But
what about the fellow? Sorry to interrupt you, Fish. As you said in the story about you potentially going to do the Heathrow job, you did do that, and then you ended up robbing some people for some cash. You know,
yeah.
You're watching. Were they not drug dealers?
Yeah, they were drug, but those drug dealers were different. You see, that job came to work. They were heroin dealers. It was a big difference, and that job came to me through the lot of the Heathrow. So it wasn't, you know, with me, I don't go out looking for work. I don't go out and look about. Work comes to us. In our game, in our field, it used to work as work would always, if you was good at what you did, work would always come to you. You didn't have to go and look for work. You know, times have changed now, and that's why.
See what I'm saying?
And that's why times have changed now, and that is why when you see crime today, crime is you know, they go on the mopeds, they just smash a shop in, and, you know, fair play, they get away, they do what they got to do, and I respect that. But for me, I always love to get creative, think about the forensics, think about the fire exit, think about what happens if it comes on top, where will we go? And so that was great. And that was the reason I loved owning snooker halls, because snooker halls, we had snooker halls all over London, okay? And the greatest thing about having snooker halls in London, they're all 24 hours. But the greatest thing was, if you ever had to do a move in that area, we always had a safe house or a fire exit to go to. Do you know what I mean? So that was always the love. But snooker halls as well, you know, that was another, when you asked me about how we got into criminality, that was another kind of, people put me in on the map, because when we had snooker halls, you have a lot of trouble in there. Sometimes people would extortion money, other people would lose on the machines and they'd want to smash the gaffer, other people just had fights and drugs, and so I'd always have to take care of that. And I never forget in Hackney one day, I walked in so I've been to the gym, I'm dehydrated. And what happened was,
Keep it.
I apologise.
He wouldn't want it after him anyway.
See what I got put up with, bang. Anyway, crash out your father. we used to own stalls all over London. And so one day I went to Brixton, and funny enough, no, not Brixton, Hackney, and the whole joke about Hackney was, I hadn't really been there before because there were some snookers we didn't really have to worry about, or they were owned by my mate's dad, not by him. But this time we went over to Hackney to pick up some money, and you know what I'm like, I'm a people's person, so I went into Hackney, and Christ, what happened was, I was talking to a group of white gentlemen, and this black rasta gives us, yeah, you finished now? Yeah, so I kind of, which took me by surprise, I was a little bit shocked. So I said, yeah. So I said, oh, all right, gentlemen, see you later. But then, as I went to go out, there were, you have to come through one set of doors, and then you have to go through another set of doors. And as I got through the first set, he followed me, and he said, next time, yeah, make sure you ask me before you can speak. And I thought, you know what, mate? I've let you take the piss once. You're not going to effing do it twice. And he looked like he had a blaze. I've crashed this arm, mate. I hit it. I know, fella. I've hit him. I've crashed this guy. I'm going crash. Because I've got the ump now. It's dragged him outside. I'm crashing him. And I said, you see people like you, you're dirt, you're filth, you're scum, go around troubling people, you're no good bully. Yeah. And I said, yeah, people like me teach you a lesson. He goes, well, teach me. And I said, well, just effing have, you know, I've taught you, you understand? So, you know, and then from that day, you know, all the Hackney lot knew me. I said, oh, thanks. And what I didn't realise, he had bullied everyone in there. It's quite funny with the halls, the snooker hall, because every time I dealt with major problems in the snooker halls, what was unknown to me, like when I dealt with the one in Tooting, and he wanted 20 grand extortion money, told me he couldn't die, pistol whipped him, put the gun to his nut, him and his boys. And when I was waiting for the police to come and the red dots to shine through the windows, they didn't come, and then they said, oh, tell Mr.Fish, look, we understand what he did, but could you tell him to be a little bit more, what's the word, diplomatic next time, yeah. And so what I didn't realise is I took care of a job for them, I took care of a headache for them, I didn't know that. And that's really, when people talk to me, that's really how I got in the game. I got in the game. I just took on the bullies, the dirt, the filth, the scum. You know. So what was the saying I used to say? I stuck with the wise guys, took on the bad guys, respected the good guys, and stayed away from the fool guys. I mean, that is how it's always been. But robberies, Heathrow jobs. I've always, you know, we try not to hurt people. That's always been a thing. Firearms, I think, have always been just for compliance, you know, in that sense.
So on the heroin job, did you end up shooting one of the fellas on that job?
Well, we could say that. Or the one gun did go off. Yeah, no, it was not popped. But they were all armed as well. I mean, they were all armed up as well. So what you have to realise is, you see, what you've got to realise is, you know, you have to realise in this game, whatever you do to someone, they can do to you. That is the number one rule of this game. You must never go in there, and get involved in something, thinking that these people can't do what you do back to you. That is the first thing you have to know. You have to understand you're not invincible. You have to understand that you can be hurt. That is what keeps most of us safe, and that's what keeps most of us active and being able to hold our hands up. You have to understand that. And I think when people do say to me, oh, they want to get involved in ritual work, yeah, and then it goes wrong and then they start running, I'm like, well, didn't you think about that in the first place? But then you have to realise not everybody is in the game, and especially today now. Today, crime is really more or less about smashing government opportunists, and the major crime, I suppose, is drug dealing and the likes. But the one thing I notice about drug dealers today, because everyone's got involved in this game, what has happened is they're getting robbed. But when they're getting robbed, they're not doing nothing about it. And I'm like, mate, I'd rather die. I'd rather die than someone rob me and I don't do nothing about it. I'd rather, end my life. It's impossible. You have to stand up for yourself. You know, you're gonna win this game. You've got to do what you have to do, regardless. Yeah. If you have fears, you got worries, then come out of the game. You know, and I'm jumping all the time because I remember different things as I speak. But going back to when I say about love, I mean, I had a boyfriend once, one that I really did love, and we had a club in Kings Cross, and I thought the major families up there in the area might step on our toes, and so we had to be ready to do what we had to do. And what happened was, I had to push my boyfriend away. I loved him, and I did it in a way which I think hurt him. Yeah, I did hurt him. But that was showing you how far I took my job, and that was when Ray was saying earlier about listen. With me, if I am your friend and we got to go together and die together, I stand. I don't leave you on your own.
I understand.
Okay, and so this is why I say love nothing, buy nothing, have nothing. It actually, it interrupts. When you're in a relationship, you will not do what you have to do if you have to do it, because you're scared of losing the one you love or the things you like. And so that is why the rules state love nothing, buy nothing, have nothing. Okay? You have to understand that. And also, with crime and getting involved, when I started up my security firm, what happened was we were hiring other security companies to come in. And they would come in and they would serve up their pills and serve up their drugs and all the rest of that crash, yeah? And so Crash How's Your Father, in the end, I thought, right, this is no good, we're going to have to start our own security firm. But just before I got to that decision, something happened in a dance floor. And I remember sorting it out, and we threw them out, but there was, I think, one left in there. And so I'm patrolling the inside, and one of these guys come up to me like that, proper screw face, you, and goes, "What the blood glad you are fucking dealing with? What the blood glad you are fucking dealing with?" And I've got to be honest, I shit my effing self. You're here in the middle of those pitch black, this geezer, I can see his teeth with his eyes. And so I've just gone crash, crash, crash. And he's got past me, and he's run down to the main door. Now, what you got to know with my name is people know me, and I'm well known in the gaming circles. But if you don't know me, then you might try it on. And this security firm, they wanted to test my resolve. Okay, and so Crash How's Your Father, they started fighting me in the dark and pretending that they thought I was somebody else. Does that make sense to you? So they're trying to beat me up to try and take over the club. So when I saw it with them, I goes, all right, come on, F this. And they were big, they were proper doorman. I said, right, let's get outside. So I went outside and I took the both of them on. And, they suddenly realised, F fuck hell, his game, he's on it, he don't give a shit, his game. And that was the thing for me. I could hold my hands up and fight. As I said to people, I've never been scared to die. I've been stabbed, I've got half in here. He's a bit my ear of fighting. It's I've never been scared. And also with prison, you asked me about how you get involved in the game. Crash How's Your Father. Prison for me, was part and parcel of the job. You know, if you're going to get involved into and play with guns, crime, rob banks, rob this, rob that, and do criminality, then there are consequences that go with that. And you know, one of the consequences is that if you're going to play with guns, you could get 15, 20, 30 years. And so I was always prepared for that. So what I've done was, I always imagined that if I get a life sentence, I always said what I'll do is I'll do 3 degrees. So life meaning about 15 years. And I thought I'd do 3 degrees. And so I thought, well, I might learn a language, which is what I've done now. Aprendo español en la prisión por 3 años. So I learned Spanish degree in prison. And then I thought, okay, then you'll do another subject, so maybe a field that you'd like to go to work in. And then the last one to do, and this is, if you're doing live, this is good for you. When you're getting ready to get released 3 years, 4 years away, you want to start doing something like sociology. Now, the reason you do sociology is because if you've been away for 10, 12, 15 years, then you want to make sure that you can at least try and educate yourself to understand the changes that happened over time. And so Crash How's your father. If you do sociology, then they have to bring you in all the changes that have happened in the social world while you've been away. And so that was how I've always been prepared to deal with prison. Another thing was prison. When you asked about how did you get into the criminality in the game and the making of me, I suppose with prisons, as I said, I always had tear up, so I could always tear. I always took on the bullies. Don't get me wrong, I'd fight with the screws, some tear up, proper wars with the screws, you know, got hurt. But it was people, the screws respected me. I had respect, you know, and I think that's what a lot of people are now missing. We're missing the word respect and politeness. People think because you're respectful and you're polite, people think it's a weakness. It's not a weakness. You can smash me all day long, and that's another thing with me fighting. Mate, I've had some proper people like Bang Bang Ray Hill, my best pal. I've had a proper tell with Dorman headbutt me. Mate, I've always got up. And mate, let's do it. And that was the rules. I didn't give a shit. You would hit me all day long, mate, let's do this thing. I was on it. And so that also gave me good stead with the prisoners in the prison. So when they got out of prison, it all went around, you know, it spread around London and up north and everywhere. So everyone kind of knew me. I became known all around London. And it's funny because Crash House of Fire, you know, being in the game is not always. Listen, let me tell you something here. Being in the game is hard work. And as I keep trying to tell you, it came out of disappointment, depression, sadness, hate and pain, yeah? So
not only you mentioned obviously about the pain, a lot of this stemmed from obviously being homosexual. Yeah. Do you think that if you weren't homosexual, your life would have gone down a different path? Would you still gone in the banks and carried on down that path?
If I wasn't gay and high, I would have been maybe still working in the bank. But for me, the bank was great on money, but you know, having gone down the different avenues, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've told you nothing about my life, you know, but the stories and people keep coming over. Do you remember you done this fish? Do you remember you done that fish? And I'm like, no. I would never have had those experiences. And one day some fellas upset me. So I said to the boys in the sticks, I need a motorbike. I don't want to go and give them a slap. And Kevin Bryant, Gangster, just died last year, top boy at Guildford. He brought me a lovely Hurricane 400 Honda. And I taught myself to ride. Listen, let me tell you something. I smashed this bike to bits. This bike was covered in electrical black tape. It was over here. I used to fly around. I couldn't have a clue how to ride. And I always used to say, some people ride to fly and some people ride to die. See me? I ride to die. It was mad. And one day, I could never, people were good riders and normal riders. I could never keep up with them in the country and all that. Because they could come lean down, touch their knee down and all that. I couldn't do it. But when we was in London, God, boom, 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 psychopaths, boom, you know what I mean, off my nut, boom. And so, I was always the mad one on the bike. I love the edge. I love living on the edge of life. If I'm not that close to death once a day, I'm not living. And on that bike, I'm with my pal, and we're in Hackney. And one day, we're at these traffic lights. And there's a barrier separating the road, so we know there's traffic lights, there's a barrier going round, so no traffic's going to come this way. So my mate's been beating me all day on this bike, and I thought, well, I'm not having it now. I'm going to beat him, yeah? So anyway, as the lights are going, I'm going to crash. Guess what's coming down the road, on the wrong side of the road? A police car. And you know what? I never knew that when you're about to have an accident, you look straight in the other driver's eyes, don't you? And you look straight in his eyes, don't you? And I was looking at this copper and I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. I've gone straight into the car, like, absolutely, it isn't hilarious. So anyway, I've hit the car, I've got to get up, and I thought, no, don't get up, I'm going to nick motorbike. So I said, don't get up, get up, that's it, it's all over it. Once you're in that car, Nitto, it's over it, yeah. So I've gone back on the floor. So anyway, when you hit a police car, some of you might know, what happens is, crash out your father. The other police have to come and investigate it, yeah? And so I'm on the floor. So the other police come and they said, Fish? I'm going, sound like an eagle, yeah? They go, Fish, They go, Fish! I'm going, yeah. They go, we need to know what happened. I'm going, green light, police car coming our way, hit police car. They're going, Fish, I'm going, they're going, Fish, we need to know how. I'm going, police car, green light, wait for green, police car coming opposite side of the road. She's going, Fish, I need to know what happened. I went and got the oven, I went, ask him, he's on the wrong side of the road. So anyway, crash out your father, yeah. Crash out your father. What's happened now? I've got the ambulance. And I had an all-in-one, the hump and everything, all the levers on the whole lot, yeah. Sorry, I apologise. And what's happened? I'm in the hospital, collarbone out here, knees out there, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So now crash. I'm in the hospital. They took off the suit, they took off all the boots. I've put the old nightie they put on. I'm in the hospital bill. And the old bill have come to see me. And they said, they're coming to find about the accident. So I'm not sure yet if they'd see I didn't know it was a hot bike, you know. So anyway, crash, the woman and the man come, the woman's going, I'm going, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I do security, so I'm not blaming the officer. I know when you're in an emergency, I know you have to do, go on the wrong side of the road. So the people go, oh, so you're not blaming them, you say it's your fault. No, I'm not saying it's my fault. What I'm saying is, doing security, I understand that sometimes you will do things that you would not otherwise do, and he's on the wrong side of the road, and I understand that that is what he done in the emergency. Oh, so you're accepting the blame then? I look at the geezer and I'm going, Gov, are you on this? And he went, yeah. He's looked at me. So they've gone. But as they've gone, I want to get out of here. So I've called it because I need my suit and my boots now. They go, no, you can't. We've still got to be seen. You've got to be assessed. I went, listen, so I've got the suit. I'm going, no tax, no insurance, no licence, and the bike's stolen. And they're helping me go out of the hospital. And I'm out of the hospital. I've climbed, I've crawled underneath a van. So I'm laying like that in bits under a van waiting for my mate to pick me up. Absolutely hilarious. And you know, this was, when you asked me about the making of me and into crime, we didn't really see it as crime. We just saw it as that was life. You know what I mean? That was just the life we led. It wasn't really about. We didn't even think it was crime. We just did what we had to do, you know, to survive, and we enjoyed it, to have the laugh, to have the crack. That was it. You know, and we just, you know, me and my boys, we were never afraid. You know, it was different in them days. You know, we didn't really have nothing, did we? You know, we had each other. Do you know what I mean? So we played up with each other. We did things. But in the old days, we.
You ever a drug dealer, Fish?
Who?
Were you ever a drug dealer? Did you ever sell drugs?
Yeah, we sold. I did sell.
Other than the clubs. So.
No. I don't. Okay. Well, as you know, we know I've taken drugs. But I don't like selling drugs because I know all the trouble and the harm and everything they cause. And I wouldn't like to put anybody else, women, kids, anybody. I don't sell drugs. I lived with a drug dealer once, and I was working with him. And he taught me that, you know, you don't trust people and all that. And he said this guy was a grass. I've got the guy's name now, but he said he was a grass. And one day, this guy rang up and asked for a quarter, but he wanted it in 2/8 balls. So I said to my pal, listen, mate, are you sure you trust this fella? And my pal went, yeah, he's all right. I said, but I thought you said he was a wrong, you know? So he said, nah, he's okay. So anyway, my mate was going on holiday then, and we were in Ladbroke Grove. We didn't live there at the time. And Crash, how is your father? He's rang me and said they're there. But you know what? Something just kneeled at me in my brain, so I said, you know what, I'm going to do this a bit differently. What I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap it up in tissue, and when I get to him, I'm going to throw my mate the tissue. Just, if anyone's looking, it don't look. So I've done that. And I still had the other 8 down here. But when we got the geezer said he only wanted an 8th now, yeah? So now I've still got the other 8 down here. So anyway, my mate's gone that way, I've gone this way, and then I've gone around and gone, crash! The old escort vans, you know, plainclothes, jumped out, hit me. And they goes, right mate, we're going to search you for drugs. He said, I'm not going to touch your balls, we're just going to touch there. And by the grace of God, I'm lucky, it's like crash out of their bars, yeah? They didn't feel it. But they took my mate over to the van and strip searched him. So it was just lucky, you know, we got away. So, you know, drugs, you know, for me, was never really my game. I mean, I can sell drugs now, but I just don't. I just don't. You know, I see the pain, the heartache, the misery they can cause, and so I don't like to, you know, spread them out and all that. Drugs.
How about on behalf of drug dealers? If the drug dealer approached you, said someone owed them money, did you ever do this sort of work?
Do you know what? I hate debt collecting. People ask me to debt collect all the time. I just can't be bothered. I mean, a family asked me to approach a geezer approached me to go and find a geezer in Soho once who owned a nightclub and they owed him money. And it was a big family, well known. And I said to the nephew, I said, listen kid, you're asking me to go and find a fella who you've told me has got properties in London, Ireland, and Switzerland, blah blah. So, how much energy and how far do you want me to go? And are you going to pay me for the work and the effort that I put in? That's the problem. And what happens if you find him or her or them and they ain't got no dough? Well, I can't be asked. And sometimes, you're going to go and get money. Then I think you've got to be quite naughty to make sure people understand, crash out of the way. So what's the point of putting yourself in a situation to get 15 years, 10 years, for nothing? It's ridiculous. I don't do debt collecting. I don't really, and also I don't really like to get involved in what other people say. I've had that, and I did explain that on an earlier podcast. But yeah, I know. Another thing, I never get involved with crash houses. I never get involved in relationships. Never, because you always get there. Oh yeah, he done this to me, he done that, or she did this, and you go out and sort it. Then they become lovers again, and you get the bird. I just don't do it. I just, for me, I don't touch relationships. I don't touch drug dealers. Another thing I won't do, I never come out of my circle. I'd rather be skinny. And I think that's why a lot of people get nicked, crash out your father. I think that's why a lot of people fall into a trap. Money, watches, material. And this is why I always say, don't let that be your God. If it's your God, then you're going to have to stay. I never like to work with anybody that I don't know. So if I don't know where your mum lives, your dad lives, and your friend lives, it's not happening. I don't give a shit if you've got platinum. I don't care if you've got diamonds. I don't care if you've got the whole of, the House of Fraser, the House of Parliament. I don't know, graphs. I don't care. If I don't know you, bye-bye. And the reason I say this, I've had many people that were drug dealers as well, Christian, and they were dealing with a guy. I forgot where they were, and you know the guys, but I forgot where. But anyway, they were dealing with this guy and his pregnant bird for ages, and crash house your father. 8 months later, they got nicked. They rolled bill, and so the rules have always, you have to learn from other people's mistakes. You always have to learn about what not to do, and that's what's kept us safe, and that's why we're not on the road. We're not seen about. We like to, like I said, I always like to be a nobody. Yeah, the Secret Service is a nobody. You never hear them, you never speak to them, and you never see them. I like to be so. And the greatest thing about being a nobody and having that demeanour, crash, I don't have to put myself on a bigger pedestal than anybody else. I don't have to pretend I'm too big to talk to you. I don't have to pretend, who are you? I'm not on that one. I'll big myself out. People call me a legend. I don't say I'm a legend. Yeah, people call me a gangster. I don't say I'm a gangster. I get embarrassed by those two terms, to be honest with you. We do what we have to do because we have to do it. That's it. It's not out of, we want to be this or be that or get a name. And I think maybe when you look at today's society, crash. I think that's why you see a lot of these youngsters today. I think when they're stabbing and hurting people, I think it's because they get praise from it, and that praise is the only praise they get. Does that make sense? It's, they're not getting it from mum, they're not getting it from dad, they're not getting it from school, so they're getting it from their friends, and it might be bad what they're doing, but at least they're getting praise, at least they're getting some kind of love. So that's why I think they do it, and sad really, because they go to prison and they end up self-harming, end up hanging themselves, end up being drawn into the Muslim gangs, end up, and then sometimes you end up either not coming out at all, end up on the numbers, or you come out, and you're mentally, but it can mentally destroy you. Guns is another thing. I've come into contact with guns on many occasions, and guns are a scary thing. I mean, when Chris has your father, when you remember, this country is not really a country surrounded with guns or everyday people carrying guns. So when you first come into contact, guns are quite scary. You have to be around people that know about guns and can teach you about guns. And also, you have to be very strong mentally when you're dealing with guns. I mean, when you think you're growing up, and maybe not today so much, but when you think you're growing up and you used to go to assembly and you have the prayers and you become religious, what happens is sometimes if you're not strong enough mentally, you do what you got to do and you pull that trigger, yeah. And when the guy's dead and you get nicked, you then start becoming religious and think, oh shit, will God send me to heaven? Will this happen? Will that? And then you might, become a born-again Christian, or you might turn to religion, and then you grasp everything. Not grasp, but you just want to clear your mind, your energy, and so you then tell the police everything else. And so, guns are very dangerous, and you have to know about guns. I remember, Chris, as your father. I remember one time, we had a Luger, and apologise. I remember one day we had a Luger, and what I didn't understand about Lugers were, and now Lugers is one of the best made German handgun made gangster. And what I never knew about Lugers was, I never knew that when you took the magazine out, one stayed in the chamber. And so I'm talking to my brother, and I said, look at this one, son, it's banging in it. And he went, that will, it ain't will. And it's only by the grace of luck. I went, yeah, like that, but because I know, only luck, because I know, don't point a gun, put it in the ground, went bang. There was a bullet in the ground. My mum gone, hey, mate, you're gonna kill me, what would you have done? I said, mate, put it in a plastic bag and threw it in the river. What do you want me to do? I can't go and tell mum and dad, they'll kill me, bro. He went, what? You wouldn't even have told them. I'm not going to tell them. Sorry, mate. My brother's down the road down the river, swimming with no armbands on. They can't swim. So, yeah, another funny thing about guns is, I remember one day in the club, a guy said he's going to come back and shoot us, and so I had to ring up my pals and say, listen, I need a tool, because tomorrow it looks like it's on. So I got the tool and I took it back to my manor and I hid it in the shed. Now I come out the next day and I go to get the tool and it's not there. Oh my God. I'm like that. Mate, is it on me? What's going on here? What's happened here, mate? I'm like, no. I'm all bit on me. What's going on here? Yeah, I'm only doing it in there last night. No one seen me, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm like, fucking please find this tool. If a kid gets it, mate, listen, they blow their head up. Please, come on. What's happened to this tool? Anyway, I had to laugh, about 3 years later, I took on my foster son. I got a foster son. And he used to live on my estate with his stepbrother and stepmissus, but they treated him like a tramp. And then we had a little bit of a situation, so I done him. And then I told him he's got to move off the estate, so he moved. But they left Harry. And I thought, I can't leave Harry like that, man. What am I going to do with this kid? And I thought, I can't have kids, I'm a psychopath. So what I've done, I got Harry a flat, and Harry became my son, I became his guardian, and the rest of it. And then Harry said to me, and Harry, we've talked about guns, and Harry said, oh yeah, you know that gun you had in the shed? I went, yeah. And you got to remember, yeah, it just disappeared. Yeah, crashed, yeah. I went, yeah. He went, well, we found it. I went, yeah. He said, well, wait, listen, this is class. Listen to this. This is class, yeah. They found it, but one of the kids, 13-year-old kid, He's in the army cadets. Oh, what a God, oh mate. In the army cadets, knew all about guns, took it apart, bang bang, threw it in the river. Ah, what a result. And he said his mate was going to shoot it, but the kid who was in the army cadet said, no, don't. What a result. And that's the thing with guns. You just don't know where they're going to take you.
If a drug dealer said to you, look, could you go and shoot someone for me?
Well, by the way, listen. You don't shoot no one unless they're coming to shoot you first. Let's keep it real. Yeah, I mean, why would you want to go and shoot someone for a drug dealer? Why would you want to go and shoot someone for anyone? Money? You know what I love about KRN and Christian? You know what I love about it? They don't listen. Stop. What did I say earlier, ladies and gentlemen? Money, I never do anything for money. Money's not my God. That is the power. I don't do things, man. Okay.
But yet you're a bank robber and you've got an IPP sentence.
I told you I'll do it for the fun. Okay, let's do it Christian's way. Do me a favour, Fish. Can you go and pop this fella? I'll give you 25, 30 grand. No problem. I'll go and pop the fella. If I get nicked, are you going to give me the 25 grand? You're going to send me £5 stamps that I'm writing to every weekend? You're going to do the 30-year sentence?
So, for example, a drug dealer approached you and said, I'll give you the money up front. So if that way, if you get whatever happens, you've got the money put away. So this never happened. There's no.
Let me ask you something. Why is it people always want to invite you? No one wants to invite you to the wedding, but they want to invite you to the funeral.
Well, you sound like you're that sort of man, like for that sort of occasion.
No. I didn't say nothing. That's what I said about Karen. He's putting words in your mouth. Let me explain something to you.
Well, you're talking about when you were running the doors and all this sort of stuff, you became known as quite a tough man, a man for a situation.
Yes, but not for a drug dealer to approach me.
Okay.
I told you, I lead, I don't follow.
Okay, so tell it another way.
So it's not about money. You want to go and take someone's life for money. What about the 30 years you've got to say, my pals are doing it now. My pals, God bless him, I said to him, and my pal's a millionaire. And this kid always wanted to be in a game. He's always involved in it. And I was like, mate, why are you in this game, man? You know, you're a millionaire, you've got nice thing. Why are you in this game? I said, mate, we're not in this game because we want to be in the game. We're in this game because we were forced into it. And you know what that kid went and done? His mate and him fell out over a kilo or a puff or something like that. And then he got his motorbike with a fireman who's his best mate, who's not into crime at all. They went outside Wandsworth Prison, shot the geezer, yeah? And now, the fireman who's never been nicked before in his life is also now, they're both doing 35 years. Why would I want to go and shoot someone for a drug dealer? For money? I can earn money going to work. Why do you need to go and do crime to earn money? Judges earn money. Yeah, McDonald workers earn money. Politicians, diplomats all earn money. You can get money legit.
So let me put this a different way then. So you spoke about your friends became your family. Yes? Listen to this, yeah. So one of your friends is a drug dealer. He's in a threatening position, something to do with the drug game. He's in fear of his life. Would you then go and take care of that situation?
Repeat that to me again, please. Repeat that to me again.
So your friends became your family. Correct? So you know if one of your friends is a drug dealer, say, but he's in a bit of a situation where he's in fear of his life, and you think there is a reasonable possibility that he may be hurt, would you assist him in that situation? And he's not a man like you.
Okay. Let me explain something to you. You know, I've always said this in the other podcast, yeah? See, Christian added a very important part in there which he didn't add in the first part. Okay? And the part was if he's in fear of his life. And that changes the situation. That's not asking someone to you to go and shoot someone for money. Yeah? That's now a geezer who's your mate, who's in fear of his life. That's a totally different situation. But even that situation doesn't necessarily warrant that you have to go and shoot someone. Listen, violence is always the last resort. Okay? I apologise again. Violence is always the last resort. violence. Look, okay, sounds your father. Look, when you get a situation, yeah, it's not, you sort it out amicably, sensibly, and reasonably. First. That's the only reason I'm sitting, look, the only reason I'm sitting here now is, yes, I've done things and done what we had to do. But I always gave them the opportunity first. Do you understand what I'm saying? I never just went in there and we went in after they gave us no choice. Now let me just explain something to you, because I think people are getting confused here. Okay? There's a massive difference. Okay, Christ, how's your father? Get this right. There is a massive difference. Okay? Between doing 35 years when someone said, oh, can you go and do this and we'll pay you money, and between doing 35 years because your mate was in trouble and you had to do what you had. Massive difference. When you're walking down that landing because you've killed a fella for money, every day is now 5 days long. And you sit there, oh mate, what have I done? And you're walking the landings like this. Gutted.
It always did.
Gutted. In bits. Sad. Lost your family, lost everything. For what? For what? Shall I tell you what for? Money. Yeah? Now, when you walk that landing, because your pal was in trouble and we had no choice to do what we got to do because these people were coming. When you walk that landing, every day feels like half a day because you did what you had to do. And you had no choice, that doesn't hurt you. And that's the difference. You've got to understand the game. You understand? You've got to know when's the right time to hold one and when ain't. And when the right time to put it and when not to. That's what you can understand. Yeah? You get kids now coming to you for guns, yeah? Oh, they say a bit of puff. This is what Christian's talking about. They say a bit of puff. And so now, because they were robbing each other, they crash out your father, they come and ask for guns. I've got people now, 18 at university, selling weed, carrying guns. And I'm like, gentlemen, do you know what goes with guns? They don't even know. It's about taking the family, about ruining your life, about ruining the community, about putting the community in fear, about the police coming and putting your families in fear, about putting your brother's life, your sister's life, your cousin's life, your nephew's life in jeopardy as well because of the comeback. Listen, understand what guns do, mate. You need to listen. That is why I've always lived on my own and stayed on my own and loved nothing but that. Because if you're going to come back and shoot me, sweet, not an issue. But don't be putting all your family and your friends and the community in jeopardy. I'm in jeopardy, mate. Because that's what I told you earlier. Ain't nothing I do to you what you can't do to me. Nothing. Yeah? Oh no, we all bleed. Look, it's only skin. Yeah, heart. Over. Boom. Over. So, you have to know. When you're doing yourself in these situations, you've got to know, yeah, that it can happen to you. And you've got to make sure that you got to make sure that you know what you're doing. If it does happen to you, you're not going to cry and that you knew that you had to do what you had to do. That's it. That's the story. And if you can't get that bit right, then you're in the wrong game. Okay? But the last thing I'm going to say before I finish off. There are many, very many women, men, kids. All sitting in prison now, yeah? I've been nothing. And they can play all bad boy and hard boy and all that on that. Listen, they're behind their door now, banged up 23 hours a day on remand, so, yeah? Listen, they're crying, they're fucked. Miserable. Shit life. 30 years. And you got to remember now, let's get a couple of things right here. When you get a 35-year wreck, that means you're going to do 45 at least. Yeah? When you get a 15, that means you're going to do 17, 18 at least. You got to understand what goes with it. Yeah, you got to understand, I'm IPP, and so is Bang Bang, Ray Hill. And a lot of IPPs, they don't want to go home now. They don't want to go home. How sad is that? They've lost their families, they've lost their kids, they don't go home. But us, we Bang Bang and a few, we had the balls because we take them on, do you get me? We're proper soldiers. No matter what they do to us, we march. Do you know what I mean? We march, and if we got to go back again, we go back again. It's not an issue. But, other people are not like that. It's not bred. They're not born into it. And then they're going to do stupid things what Christians talking about. Oh, go and shoot someone for money. Hello. What for? For money? You work and get money. Hang out with anyone want money. Yeah, you've got to be switched on, mate. Don't be a follower. Be a leader. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Crash, how's your father?
Thank you very much. Hope you guys enjoyed part 2 with Mr. Fish.
No.
London's craziest gangster.
I think now there's a part 3 to come. Because that man, fair play to him, he has helped me do my channel. And supported me and educated me, and he has allowed me and helped me and with that stupid donut Bang Bang Ray Hill. Alright, donut. They've allowed me to change my life around, and that is why I'm doing this podcast. I wouldn't do this podcast later, but he's done so much for me in respect of YouTube, understanding it, how it works. I mean, I'm learning myself, it's all new to me. And so, for me, I just want to thank KRM Christian for everything he has done for me and the opportunity for me to come here and talk on the podcast. I want to thank Ray Hill.
It was much appreciated, Fish, for giving us the time of day.
Yeah.
Very much appreciated.
Lovely, mate. Thank you.
But,
and guys, please check out Fish's channel. So go to the description box, subscribe to his channel, have a look at some of his videos, and support him.
My channel is about life, it's about people, it's about understanding. My channel is about helping people understand why I made those decisions, why I made those mistakes, and so they don't make the same mistakes. My channel is about humour, laugh, intelligence, and helping people. It doesn't promote, it talks about violence, it talks about crime, it talks about drugs. That's where I came from. That's where
So if any of the viewers are in threat that they've got some sort of danger in their life, they fear of a certain person, are you willing to deal with it for these people? If
well, do you know what? I love Christian. He's absolutely hilarious. Why he's not on stage amazes me. But I will say this. I've been looking for a platform to help people and educate people to stop making the same mistakes. And I'm hoping that this platform will not put you in that position what Christian's talking about. Crash. See you later.